Audio Jungle.
Welcome to the HuskGuys podcast. Oh yeah!
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the HuskGuys podcast. We got a special one tonight. I'm pretty pumped for this one. You got myself and Andrew as usual on the HuskGuys side, but we have brought in some of the broader HuskGuys, some of the original HuskGuys, if you will. Zach and Chuck, who, as we do some intros, we'll kick things off here. But one of the things I want to highlight before we dive into things, every Husker fan's got their text thread. And everybody's got one that like you can lock arms with when things are going dark. And since we've lost, 16 to last 21 or whatever, everybody's got one. This was mine. So me, Chuck, Zach, and then also Alex Post, who wasn't able to get with us, is my text thread. So Chuck, Zach, say what's up, introduce yourselves, and then we'll cut off into some content here.
Yeah. I'll go ahead and hop in real quick. So, I'm Chuck. I played on many E-Rec softball HuskGuys championship teams. I think we've won at least a couple of championships, runners up about 7 or 8 times, as is tradition. Big leads blown late, but the text thread is it's very much cathartic. We need it every single week, it seems. But yeah, I don't know if we've ever really been texting much through a winning season since I'm trying to like the last big wins that we got to celebrate together. I mean, there was Ohio State about a decade ago, and then Riley Beach, Oregon.
Chuck, this is positive vibes. This is positive vibes. Yeah.
Let's turn it around. Chuck.
So we've been through it. We did go to a Big Ten championship together. Trophy. But anyway, all right. But anyway, I'll get to Zach.
70 points.
Yeah, that was a long one. That was a long night in Indianapolis. But hey, Zach Lubeck here, long-time listener, first-time caller. Pretty excited to be here. I've listened to you guys spew positivity for decades upon decades upon decades. I think it's about 30 years now. We're well into this thing. I see no game. I've never entered a game thinking we were going to lose, so I'm going to maintain that position this week. I've got some unique takes on how I think we're going to pull this one off this week. I'll say it in a little bit for. I'll bury the lead and get back to it here in a bit.
Love it. All right. First, a little note from our sponsors. And our first sponsor is actually most important because we're going to talk a little bit. We're going to dive deep on Pipeline Jerky here in just a second. Got new bags, which I'm going to flash up on the screen for those who are watching on YouTube. Brand new bags, cool front and back, officially printed from Zach Lubeck and Quality Pork International. Go to pipeline-jerky.com. Try the pork, try the beef. It's fantastic. And a royalty goes to the offensive lineman. So check that out. Also, head on over to HuskGuysStore.com, where you can see all the merchandise that Andrew and I are wearing, Pipeline Jerky stuff, run the ball stuff. This is the year stuff, all positive energy stuff, good stuff. And then finally, as we talk about this and not, Land and Mold. They're going to help you get through the wrinkles, get through the grind, gray hair, all sorts of things. The wrinkles, especially, they are definitely there. We're trying to spread optimism. We're trying to fight this. Trying to fight some wrinkles, too. So defend against being old and run down. Land and Lore. There's all sorts of products that can help you with this. Everything's from the land. It's natural, all good stuff. When you try it, 10% off. Use HuskGuys10 at checkout. So go to land-lure. Proud sponsors the HuskGuys pod and the Wrinkle Killer. And with that, we are kicking off. Andrew, I know you want to take this directly into a Pipeline Jerky infomercial, which I am all in favor of. So if that's the direction you want to take, I'll kick to you to dive in. And then, let's go from there.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Dave. So I think that my goal for the pod this time around was, just a little bit different. Take a little different content, get it to the masses. Basically, we've been pumping Pipeline Jerky like crazy. I probably eat it for at least 2 of my meals per day. And I think a lot of fans are probably interested in just like the workings of it, the inner workings, kind of the behind the scenes, how'd this happen? How was this created? And so although we have plenty of hot, spicy takes coming your way, I think that I want to kind of dive into what Pipeline is and what it's all about. So Zach, Dave, founders, what is it? Childhood friends, childhood. You are saving the program one bag at a time.
We are trying.
How was it founded? Talk to us about how it was founded.
We'll start because this is good that we got Chuck on the line because a lot of this started with the text thread, right? And so, I think, well, we're always dreaming up ridiculous ideas. And I mean, Zach and I have been dreaming up ideas for, I don't know, since we're kids. We got to do something, try to figure something out. But then, I think as we got older, it became like, what are we interested in? And we were all like, our interest became very narrow. It just was like, I like slow pitch softball and Husker football. And then it was just like, nah, I just like Husker football. And then NIL created sort of this unique opportunity where, I think we were like, okay, there's something here. And, kudos to Chuck. I think when stuff started to blow up, he reached out directly to Jared Lambrick, who is no longer with the program due to the Frost era. But what's that called? ABM, Athletic Business, whatever it was that was created. Branding and marketing, which was created as the original collective. Chuck reached out to him. We were like, I don't know, let's shoot our shot. We'll see what happens. And so that was like the start, Chuck. You remember reaching out directly out to him and he responded?
That interaction was absurd. I messaged you and I was like, hey, Dave, you at least have a following. Like, I think you should reach out to him. Maybe you'll get a response, but this guy's really high up. There's no way he's going to respond to some guy like me. And you're like, give it a go. So I just messaged him directly on LinkedIn. And like within 5 minutes, I got a response and a meeting. And I was like, you're not going to believe this. To you.
Hang on LinkedIn.
and we set up like
for new jobs already.
So we had set up a lunch meeting like from there. And I was like, all right, Dave, can you make it? And you're like, well, I can't make it. I was like, Zach, can you make it? And so Zach and I went and met with him and through a meandering of conversation, trying to figure out like, what is the plan? What does Nebraska have in place? We quickly found out it didn't seem like there was much going on. And then Zach with his resources started to play with some ideas of how can we actually take this from just conversations around, oh, it would be cool if, to let's do this and let's do it now. And let's make it big and do it quick.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think you give Jared a lot of credit on it. It was ultimately his idea. I mean, we were talking, kind of spitballing, all right, what can we do to help the program? We've got a microphone with the HuskGuys media stuff going on. His largest fan account, largest social media presence across all social media networks. So shout out to Dave and Andrew for really building that out brick by brick. Yes, a decade of goofing around. Now we're more getting serious. Maybe a little longer than that, but. Yeah, I mean, what started as a blog, I believe.
And then a softball team.
Yeah, it is. Well, of course, yeah, World Championship softball team. Perennial runners up. But Jared's like, hey,
MMA sponsors as well.
MMA, that's right, Grizz. I forgot about him. Jared's like, hey, what do you guys do for your day job? Because all these ideas are they're fine, but what do you guys do for your day job? Just kind of creating conversation. And then I explained that I work in the meatpacking industry. And he goes, well, what do you do? And I explained that we co-pack jerkies for a lot of different national brands, some up and comers and stuff like that. And he goes, well, how about you should make a jerky and kick royalties to the offensive line? And I was like, a great idea. What can you do for me? And then we kind of got off and going, and we decided we were going to do it. Got the artwork done by Zach Weinmaster, who did a tremendous job making the logos, making the original bags, or I guess the original stickers that went on the bags. And we really kind of slapped it together between like June 15th and August 28th last year. We had a little snafu and missed the kickoff last year due to packaging, not getting in time. But obviously remember that we lost that game and kept losing, and so
Frost is gone.
ABM fell apart.
ABM fell apart. Frost is gone. Disaster.
Well, I was just like, oh shit. And Jared's like, ABM's going. We're unwinding and being absorbed by the 1890 guys, and they're not ready to go yet. And you can go out on your own, but I can't give you any, any formal support. I can give you contacts, things like that, but I can't give you any formal support. And we had about, $75,000 in inventory. So we're like, yeah,
we got to do something.
Whatever. Dave texts me, he goes, all right, put me in, coach. And it just starts firing stuff out there. And then before you know it, we moved 10,000 bags in 60 days. It was great.
Yeah, well, that first like hit too was pretty wild, because I think it was sometime around like November, and we had no idea. It was like, this could be complete flop. With it's like mom and dad will buy some, your parents will buy some, Chuck will buy some. It's like, that's 8. Well, we have no idea. And like one tweet to the HuskGuys following, we'd done 3,000 in sales. We're like, oh my God, this is, wait a second, this is crazy. And like, then the next day we did another $3,000, and the next day another $3,000. And then the next day like 5, we were like, whoa, this is like insane. It was right around Christmas time. So it started to hit, and I think it was hitting for the reason. The timing of it was funny because it was right after another loss, like 6th straight or whatever, and there's this wild like tug of the fan base. We had half the fan base that was like, I won't give a single dollar to these guys. They should be focusing on football. Like, they can't block anybody. It's ridiculous. And then the other half was like rising up against them. That was saying like, if we do this, we'll get better players. And that voice of positive, if we do this, we'll get better players, started winning. And they were like, we're going to fight against this negativity. We're going to rise up. We're going to get better players because we're going to, invest in Pipeline Jerky, and we're going to buy the Pipeline Jerky, and we're going to buy it for Christmas. And so that just started hitting, and it kept going and going and going. And so it's been a wild ride the last year of just like, the different things and the opportunities that have opened up from it. I think that, we host an event with the original Pipeline, the original guys from, 94. Just some awesome opportunities. We met Adam Carricker. We've met, we had all sorts of like different alums that have tweeted and been a part of it. David Benning's a huge fan. So it's been a wild ride. It's been fun to get it going, and it's all been kind of pretty surreal.
So I'm always like fascinated by the startup story, and you guys seem to have a pretty good startup mentality. Did you guys have, just personally a lot of skin in the game? Were you like all in from the beginning, or was this kind of we're going to test it out, see the water, see how this goes?
From a financial perspective, we kind of went off the deep end. I got in a little deep. I was thinking, oh boy, all right. If they're gonna wait a year to launch this thing, it's got a 1-year shelf life. I'm $75,000 in the hole. Let's see where this goes.
Yeah.
We gotta go.
But you see so many businesses like just kind of figure it out when your back's against the wall.
We had no plan. We just went for it.
Yeah, man. We honestly still don't have a plan, which is probably why it's.
But I think we all recognize through the text thread too that like there's just this voracious appetite for anything Husker, and especially that nostalgia aspect. That we're like, well, you can only buy so many shirts and things, but how do you get it into like these consumables, right? How do you create a Husker economy? And we kind of talked about like, man, what if we've had a lot of different ideas too around like, how do you build this as a larger structure, not just an individual business, but how do you actually get the entire state to come together? Things like, restaurant ideas or whatever. Like, what if everyone could just like have an optional, like, hey, I'll tip an extra buck to the O line, the D line, whoever, and just have different promotional programs.
That's a really good idea.
How many people?
I still like that. I still like the athlete village. I think is still a great.
Oh, Athletes Paradise?
Athletes Paradise. There it is. Yeah.
Lambert was like, oh, you're in construction. Are you tight with Joey Houseman? I'm like, oh, yeah.
No, man.
Yeah, all the time. Like, it's like, no, man, that's not a thing. He's like, you think you would build an Athletes Paradise? I'm like, you should probably ask him.
Yeah, I do think back to some of those conversations we had with Jared, which is like hilarious that he kept beating with us, and we just were throwing the worst ideas at him. We're like, what about a subscription model? What about if we build you a building? What about? And he was like, these are great, good ideas, guys. It's like, we can't deliver on any of these. So literally, Zach was the only one who could deliver on any of the like 1,000 ideas we threw at him, and now it's turned into something. But I do think, you come back to the concept that I'm like obsessed with that is really hitting is this NIL concept of the broader fan base, the average fan that can't write a booster check and doesn't have the deep pockets of a Pepsi or a Coke or an Amigos or whoever it is, wants to help. And like you think you're helping the program by buying tickets, and theoretically that works. But like, this is a very direct way to say, offensive lineman, I buy jerky, it goes to you. It's very direct and it's very tangible. And it's kind of unlike anything that exists out there. There really hasn't even been, I know copycats are going to come up, but even in the last year, there hasn't been a ton. Even like the beer that was just launched is still sort of a broader, like, where's it going? So I think that the pipeline component of this and the fact that it goes to the offensive lineman and the fact the fans, like, for the price of a bag of jerky, I can help the program. I think that's been hitting.
Yeah. I think that like the consumables, there's also an aspect of like, I receive something, I buy something, I get two things. I get the consumable itself. I get to give some money to the program. I think that's like a nice pay it forward. And people are buying in. We had a tweet the other day from somebody that was in his tractor,
loved it,
harvesting corn. And then he sent us a picture that he's eating the pipeline.
Yeah, I mean, it's
This is who it's for. Like, this is what it's, this is what it's all about.
I think honestly, I love this stuff, and I love, our HuskGuys store's been fun, Pipeline's been fun, and I get like a little kick out of every single order that comes in, and I'm continually impressed. Zach and I were just looking at the numbers last week. I mean, we've got dozens of people that have ordered $500+ worth of jerky in the last 6 months. And you're like, well, this is crazy. Like, who's buying $500 worth of jerky? Like, we've got dozens of them that are just
Single most unifying food groups there is.
Yeah, they're buying over and over, and they're buying new things, and so we're kind of starting to talk to these people, and so yeah, it's sort of been a fascinating. All of that's been like, it's been a wild ride.
Who came up with like the recipe? Like who created the taste and everything?
It was so I had some we threw some stuff together in our R&D kitchen. We had I don't know, probably 8 different flavors. That
Your kitchen.
I mean, with the professional kitchen, but yeah, it's not in my home kitchen, but yeah, we've got like an R&D lab up in West Point. We put everything together, and we presented these 8 flavors to the offensive linemen, saying, hey, the only caveat is you got to pick one protein or one flavor from each protein category, and these were the winners. So with that said, we've got quite a few flavors still left in the hopper, quite a few.
So they were the first taste testers.
Yeah,
like
yeah,
were that involved?
Yeah, Zach had him out. Yeah, if you look at some of the original pictures, Zach had him out to the plant. They walked him in. I mean, walked him around, showed him the entire facility, showed him the venue. It's really some great pictures. We'll have to send those back out again. But I think that's, again, like the things that are resonating among the broader crew is like the players feel like they're part of building a business. Like if you talk to them, like there's some of them get it, some don't. But most, the ones that get it are like, oh, wow. So if we sell more, if we broadcast more, if we wear the shirts, and they got to be a part of, Zach took them around the plant and he showed them like the business, and we talked numbers with them. So all of those components, again, I think are what's a little bit different than like, just a typical brand sponsorship where it's like, hey, Jeff Sims, will you send out an Amigos tweet and I'm just going to pay you for it. This is like, they're part of it, and they're leaving behind a legacy. It's like they started it. Now the new crew comes in and the new players come in.
You get to,
so
yeah, absolutely. The idea is for there to be like perpetual business every year in, year out, so that the kids coming in, whether they're coming in through the transfer portal or coming in from high school, the traditional way, we need them to know that nobody will take care of linemen like the state of Nebraska. We care about them. It's not just the ball carriers, not just the stud linebackers. We need the boys up front, and people in Nebraska not only understand that, they appreciate it. They love the linemen. They are just showing such an outpouring of support for these guys.
Yeah, it's really taken off, and I think it's been impressive to kind of just watch people like understand the pipeline as well. I mean, I feel like that's, just to begin with, kind of a unique aspect of Nebraska too, that you guys have latched onto pretty well. Is like our offensive line has its own nickname, which is unbelievable, to start with right there. So what ended up being, actually, before I even get into that, tell me a little bit more about this taste testing. Who, like, drop some names. Who was eating the most? Who, like, it was loving it the most?
Turner Corcoran was eating a ton. So was Brant Bags. The guy who really seemed to like, it really clicked with the most, the two that I'd say it clicked with the most, were Teddy Prohaska and Ezra Miller. And they were sitting there. They're like, yeah, it's like the light went off. You could tell the light went off immediately for those two guys. And Ezra did a great job. He wrote like several different like pieces of copy. He tried really hard to get this thing growing. He did a really, really fascinating job. Trent Hickson, he really understood the numbers quickly. That was pretty. He's an accountant now, so fellow nerd. He understood. He's like, all right, well, hold on. Start growing this thing. The faster we can grow this, the bigger the cut. This is going to be for all of us. It's going to be a pretty good deal. I mean, we were well north of $10,000 in total checks that we cut for those guys last season.
It was after 1 month.
After 60 days. Yeah, it was unbelievable. So, hopefully we can keep that momentum rolling here. Nothing promotes sales like a win. I mean, it was just unbelievable. Like it was orders just pouring in.
And the loss is just murderous. So we really got to stop losing.
Start returning it.
Oh, it's so bad. It literally, like, when you get following, it's like a win, a loss. Like, oh,
Put this in my mouth.
Yeah. It's like, Well, I think that's what all merchandise runs through too. I think it's very, after a win, people are like feeling fired up after a loss. I can't even look at this team.
Yeah. So what ended up being like the biggest issue getting it started, like the biggest obstacle you guys had to end up overcoming? Any licensing issues? Any
packaging was so hard. Getting the packaging figured out, I was totally shooting from the hip there. We were just trying to, again, I kind of got caught between, all right, how deep do we want to get into this? Or do we want to kind of try to do it the mom and pop route? And I kind of tried to split the difference. That kind of blew up in my face, and we missed the kickoff. And yeah, I would say packaging was the hardest thing.
Well, what was your plan? To just send them in Ziploc bags?
We didn't have one. That's a recurring theme. Like
they're kind of Ziploc. Those original ones were just like freeze dried.
Yeah, well, those things are designed for like putting like M&Ms inside like a giveaway bag at like a conference. So and then really
they're figured it out
fine. But what's that?
How'd you figure it out, and how'd you guys like kind of?
A little bit of trial and error. Leaned on quite a few of my suppliers, for my professional career. But all right, what do we need to do? And, like a great example is the box that we send all the gift boxes in. The guys at PCA, so Packaging Corporation of America, shout out to Mark Ruffshaw and the crew there, down in like 12th in Missouri. They down right up against the river, kind of down by Rosenblatt. They came up with a box and just gave me like 500 of them. They're just like, here, we think this would work. Go for it. Like, awesome. Perfect.
It's the breaking.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was calling in favors left and right. I burned up a lot of political capital doing this one.
Also gained a lot of political capital though, because
that's true. That's
low
true.
credibility.
I gambled a lot of political capital.
There you go.
So are you spending on marketing now, or are we just primarily using the HuskGuys machine here?
Yeah, we're doing a little bit here and there.
It's hard that
the marketing side's you.
It's been a little bit. The marketing's been a little tricky because it's such a unique niche thing. Like the pipeline. Oh, on sec. There he is. He's this old man.
I know. Sorry.
The pipeline component makes it like super like niche and kind of challenging to find like the right return on like what we'd be doing from an investment standpoint, right? It's like the biggest blessing as well as like the biggest challenge of it. People that understand Pipeline Jerky are like true Nebraska fans that are likely 35 to 40 plus. So like finding that crew is, we're trying to work on. And I mean, it's honestly coming all the way back to like the podcast itself. I reached out to every single podcast that exists, and I was shocked that a lot of them, their listenership isn't like that massive, but they're very expensive. So, I was kind of struggling with some of that of like, how much do you spend on a podcast that has like hundreds of listeners that wants thousands of dollars? So I was like, maybe we'll just start our own. So here we are. Well, this is turning into another new way that we start to build more awareness for it.
Yeah.
We were trying a lot of different things, and we were trying things across Facebook and Google and, podcast marketing. I don't know. We'll eventually maybe do something with Callahan, but I think he's probably Sean Callahan. He's got like him and On3, they've got, kind of the strongest following that comes with it. So,
I heard the name Callahan.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, no, I called Bill.
Yeah. Like, are you sure you want to go that route?
Yeah, Bill. Bill's great.
It's pretty funny to just see how far like in wide the Nebraska media like permeates. Like one of our early really big pushes was on the platinumboard.com. I don't know if you guys have ever visited, but it's kind of a dark hole knockoff of On3 and Rivals and 247, and it was wild. Those guys were tremendously supportive. I ended up actually going and meeting one of the guys in person to deliver his stuff. He's like, "Hey, I'll order it if you can get it to me tonight." I go, "Send me your address." Turns out he lives like, I don't know, not even 6 blocks away from where I grew up. Like he lives just immediately from my parents. So I'm like, all right, I'll be there.
So who, logistics wise, I mean, who's doing the fulfillment? How's it like? Just walk through.
So my brother-in-law and like my best friend, Marcia Ellison, she works for us. Everybody's got like a 63-year-old best friend. She and Hayden knock it out. Left every day they log in and do the 5, 10, 15, 20. I mean, around Christmas time we had days where we were doing 150 orders a day. It was pretty fun. We took over a conference room. We were plugging stuff in bags, stuff in boxes.
We'll do it this year.
Oh,
it's a full-time job?
We no, not a full-time job. It's other assignments as needed type job, but we've we kind of made some enemies, to be honest with you, at USPS. Our mail guy really hates us.
What's the beef?
At work.
Because they don't like work.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, we had one day we had to have 2 entire dedicated vans come pick up boxes. They were not happy with us. They were.
Yeah, it's like sorry for the business.
Yeah, exactly. Sorry for doing your job for you.
Sorry for all the money.
Yeah. Okay. That guy was just pissy. Yes. Whatever. But no, we do that. Do FedEx. Do UPS. Kind of whatever's cheapest through Shopify. And we blow out sales too. Like we've last time I counted, I think we were at 44 or 45 states. We've touched a lot. So we got Mississippi. Still need to do that. Still need to do New Hampshire, Vermont.
We start calling people and just help.
Right? Well, we got somebody in Hawaii who kind of liked us up, and they buy, they'll buy a bundle every month or whatever. We lose our ass shipping it to them, but whatever. Yeah, like I like the sport. It's like $18 to ship it out there.
So much for jerky. That's great.
Yeah,
they're doing that. So as far as like the future goes and like the future vision for everything, I think a lot of Husker fans are pretty interested in just the NIL opportunities and the involvement of the players and everything like you're touching on. Are current players involved, and like do you want them more involved?
Correct. Yeah. So we've got 10 guys signed for this year. So we changed the 10 guys every 6 months. So we'll do a new 10 starting in January. Current 10. Are all doing a great job. We did not do Niali just because we weren't sure. We were so confused about what his status was from a visa perspective. We weren't sure if he's allowed to earn money, so we did not include him this year. But if we can get that cleared up, we'll include him next year or next spring even. But yeah, it's been a good little. The guys are very supportive. It's kind of hard to get 10 guys or 10 of those guys in the same room, but that's.
We also, of the original 10, what do we have, like 7 transfer last year? So that was like added to the list of learning experiences because we had signed these guys to a year-long contract. And
no, that's not true. We did 6 months because we
was it 6 months? Yeah, even so, they all like disappeared. We're like, okay, so we now have no players and as part of Pipeline Jerky. And then, Ben Scott transferred in like, May or whatever. So it's like, all right, he's in. So we, now it's a little more structured, but all this stuff has just been like, learn as you go. It's been like, all right, like, I guess if you're on the roster January through June.
Well, one of the more difficult things we've had to do is have these guys go cash their checks.
Yeah, it's been fun.
Like the shock, like
it's a lost skill.
Yeah, exactly. These kids born after 2000 don't know where the bank is. Like can't. It's not in Venmo. It doesn't work.
That's incredible. Like I'm trying so hard to give you money right now.
Right? Yeah. Please take my money. I'm trying. Well, there's a comma in this. This is thousands of dollars. Please take it.
Dave, I need to revisit. We had a Google Doc too when this all started.
So good.
All of our business ideas, like
so good.
We in our heads we had partnerships with so many car dealerships, like Speed City. Everyone gets a Corvette. Like D-line, you're driving,
I still
think it's good. I mean, that's probably like a 2024 thing, but
I still think, it's unfortunate we haven't really had any contact with 1890, but we were talking to Jared like every day. It was awesome. Like that was sweet. And maybe that was like, I don't know, maybe that was why it didn't work out because he was listening to all of our ideas and well, that was excited like no longer, but it's like to go from that to absolutely like no connection at all while running the only NIL business in the state has been a trip. But
that is absolutely. No, I mean, honestly, to give credit to Jared, he took a leap of faith in us, and he took a leap of faith in general because nobody in Lincoln stepped up to create a collective. We know he was making it happen. He was making it happen. He was the one to try. I mean, I don't even know anybody else who tried or beyond filing papers of incorporation. A lot of that doesn't require anything. He was actually putting the little rubber to the road.
Yeah, he was making it happen. I love that about him. I thought he was. I enjoyed working with him. I miss him. Jared, if you're listening, call us back.
I guess that is a good segue too. Like with between Pipeline and then you've got 1890 and everything. Is there? It sounds to me like there may not be a terrific, blossoming relationship there quite yet.
No, it's not bad. It's just crickets. That's kind of.
It's just 50. Look, I think it's. I mean, if you want to talk about where this thing really takes off, is if it does get fully embraced by the university. And that's what you're starting to see across a number of different schools across the country is, I think they're willing to really lean into different NIL opportunities that they're fully integrated within the university itself. So, for us, it'd be like, man, if we could become official partners of the university and, are able to be a part of not just concessions at football, baseball, basketball, but also it's like every gift box they send out, if they're emailing out to season ticket holders, if they're part, just like that integrated relationship. Everything we've done has just been basically social media blast and, using HuskGuys as much as we can to grow it. And then it's kind of taken off from there. But that next level would be like every big red breakfast across the state has, Pipeline at it. It's like in every event that every single time that Rule's going out and speaking on he's bringing it with, right? Like there's that level of like, that's the aspirational component of this is like every grocery store across the state is carrying it. Every gas station across the state is carrying it. Rule's got it in his back pocket. Rail is carrying it around campus. So, I think that's something the university right now is a little uncomfortable with because they aren't sure what the NIL laws are around this. So, but, in a couple of years, it'd be pretty sweet if that was the case.
Yes. And so how involved can they be, I guess? Like if, so say,
it's completely
have you guys approached Donovan Raiola, for example?
Yeah,
send him handwritten notes, man. It's
been
that.
I mean, is this something that like legally?
Absolutely, they can do it. There's no real regulation around this stuff. I mean, there's what's out there is very loosey goosey, whether from a state level, city level, or an NCAA level.
Yeah.
It's all. I mean, there's a few guardrails, but you can be conservative and get lapped, or you can go out and be in front and, kind of apologize later. It's very much the wild, wild west out there. I don't think that the NCAA is going to retroactively slap somebody's hand for doing something that is, in our world, we don't think we're doing anything wrong. We're doing this very much within the spirit of the NIL. We think that this is what NIL was supposed to be and is supposed to be. So even if, these collectives disappear and all NIL gets gets taken in-house for these athletic departments, this is the spirit of what it's supposed to be. It's truly a business that the kids are a part of, and they get a direct. I mean, it's straight line algebra. The bigger the pie, the more money they get. It's very obvious to us. Using their name, their image, and their likeness to grow a business. Yeah,
we've heard this from other people too, being like, you guys are the quote unquote good guys of NIL. Most of NIL is the bagmen. It's like it's so just a big booster writing a check and getting the kid to write like a fake tweet or something, and then giving him a Maserati. Right, like it's like you see like Shedeur Sanders, right, like driving around like all these different cars. Like, what did he do to earn that? Right, it's like just people giving him things. So that's still like what exists, and so we feel like we're doing everything above board. We've got the right legal contracts and the right tax accounting and the right preparation, all of those things. I just think that Nebraska has been extremely conservative and are concerned about it, rightfully so. Right, like nobody wants to be the one that gets shut down.
Sure.
Nobody wants to be the one shut down, but also I can tell you none of those schools in the South care. None of those schools in the South, they do not care. And
so there's just at this current point, has there been any feedback? Like, has it been mentioned on recruiting trips? Has it been kind of a pitch from maybe peers, like peer recruiting, and just saying, hey, they've got this pipeline thing going on? Well, I think that feels like one of the next steps, right?
Yeah, Ben Scott knew about it before he got on campus. He's now on the defensive line. He's got a nice long Polish last name. He's from South Dakota. Why am I blanking him? Makajic or whatever. I can't remember his name. He reached out right away. Gunner and his family reached out right away. They knew about it. They've been very, very supportive. The Ladovsky family is unbelievably supportive. I think what they've had is there's a lot of people in that clan because we've shipped all over. Their last names are Ladovsky, so it's great. It's been very, very supportive. The Ben Harts have been really supportive. It's been really
clearly if they're buying it, their families are. I mean, they know about it. They're passing on word.
They're spreading the word to their family, and certainly the recruits after they've committed. Now, a lot of them hadn't signed yet, but I've had some really long, nice conversations with recruits after they've signed. But they say like, hey, this is the business, this is the idea. If you end up being one of the 10 players we select for this, it's off and running. So
so you can see, and your leading questions, I think, are where we hope to get to. Is like that's you would think if it gets fully embraced by the university, it's fully across campus, and it's like, this is a business that supports our players, was created by the players, built for the linemen, for for the fans. Then you start to see bigger penetration across, the athletic department, plus, the athletic department across campus, across bookstores, and across like grocery stores across the state. So that's where I hope to get to. I think we made a ton of progress in a year. A year from now, it's, even bigger.
Yeah. Wholesale is going to be a really important aspect for us. We want to get in front of Hy-Vee, get in front of, multiple, National Association of Grocers, get in front of the mom and pop guys. We already got in front of all the Ace Hardwares in the state. That was kind of cool. A guy who owns a couple Ace Hardware franchises reached out to us and was like, hey, I want to carry it, and I'm hosting a conference in New York. You want to come speak? And so I hopped up the big red machine and brought an obscene amount of jerky out to York, and then passed it around to all the Ace Hardware guys. They're tremendously welcoming. And that's what I need to do, is try to get into, to get to, I think we're in David City, Nebraska. I probably wouldn't have gotten there if it weren't for some
Ogallala.
We're in McCook. We're in Torrington, Wyoming. That's our first cross state lines. That was a big one. Yeah. That's I believe Bert was down on more.
I think we've talked too so much about like, it's more than just, selling jerky and getting jerky all over, but it's more selling the concept and the idea.
Absolutely.
To have it catch on, to say there is a culture here, you can build an economy around this, that if I am choosing to spend money anywhere, I can choose to spend money that only goes back to the university in some way, not just the university, directly to my football team players, right?
Yeah.
And if that catches on, I mean, you have 1,000 guys like what you're doing at Pipeline Jerky. There's 1,000 different things, whether it's clothing, apparel, restaurants, beers, whatever it is, right? And you got Pipeline Jerky now. That's from the Pipeline Proteins. You go buy your Christmas ham. It's got an N branded on it, right? Stuff like that. Where it's like, if I'm ever spending money, let me choose the option that's going to kick money back to my team.
Well, that's what I mean. To tie a bow on it, and then just shift into talking about Husker football, the dream here. With the next to the original, it's like, you realize what, I don't know, maybe it's as you get older and you become a Husker fan, you're like, all you really care about is how do we make this team better. Right. That's it. That's like literally it. You're like, all right, I care about my family, and then I care about this, and I would like for this team to get better. So, and this is like really, and I like the first true thing that has allowed you to sort of insert yourself in a way and raise your hand and say, like, I'm going to make a difference. And so that's, I think that's kind of cool, empowering in a lot of ways to be like, wow, just as literally like 3 idiots on a text thread being like, what if we just reached out to Jared?
That's so cool. Now, one of my final questions here is, Zach, what do you make about the haters saying that Brandon Baker would have committed to us if he got to tour maybe the West Point Quality Pork International?
I've used a lot of messages about that, and some kind of nasty ones too, man. They're getting personal. They're driving up to West Point, knocking on the doors. But I know it. I'd say the ink's not dry down there yet, so we're good. I think there's still a chance. There's. I don't know if you've ever been to West Point in November, December timeframe. It's
great place. Yeah. The tourist hotbed.
Yeah, absolutely. It's You get there, you gotta want to be there, and I think you'll want to be there.
Yeah. All right. Closing remarks on Pipeline. What's been the most rewarding thing so far?
For me, it's really seeing the outpouring of support during the down times. We last year we were 4-8. Obviously we had a lot of losses, and still people just kept pedaling, and it built to this big balloon. Like a lot of people were making bets with one another that, hey, if we beat Iowa, I'm gonna spend $100 for the stuff, or whatever it is. We had one guy, Jerry, lives in I think he lives in Mullen, Nebraska. The dude just lined up, just bought $500 worth of jerky, and sight unseen, day one. We're like, who is this guy? This is amazing. And it came full circle. I had a friend of a friend is like, oh, you do Husker, or you do Pipeline Jerky. I've got some in my car. This guy named Jerry in Mullen gave it to me. I was like, oh, this is amazing. It's just such a, like, Nebraska's obviously not a massively populated place, but just the small town feel of that was so cool and so fun.
Yeah, I think it's all right. I mean, I think it's been, for me and Zach, it's been awesome, at least, for me, hopefully for you too, Zach. But you get to build a business with your best friend from childhood. It's pretty awesome. Like, Zach and I talk now every day, where we used to probably text a lot, but now it's like literally every day you get to talk to your best friend and build a business. So I think that part's awesome. And I think it's cool to like see it really grow and take off, and to feel like people being people are really proud of it. And I think that's really cool to see. Like, I mean, every single order, everything that comes in, I think gets you a little adrenaline rush. And I think more to Zach's point, like people are rallying behind it as a way to make the team better. And that's exactly what we set out to do. So I think the fact that it's resonating, people are doing it, people are buying and getting behind it. I think it's been great for HuskGuys, right? It's been good for us to like, be behind it, and to continue to push it. So I think it's been all good. It's been a ton of fun.
Awesome. Well, transitioning to things that are not good. Let's talk about the Big Ten West.
Oh my God, yes! Can we get into some football chatter, Chuck? We're gonna get you back in this. So I want to kick this off with this, and then Chuck, I'll tag you in. I love the Big Ten West. I think it is just an absolute fantastic dumpster fire, and it's the only thing that's keeping me through this season. Is
great.
We are going to be in the Big Ten West picture until we've lost like 5 games.
Just lose every game and still be statistically alive.
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't know, just not even getting 100 yards and getting completely shut out.
Oh.
Illinois is
I don't know if they got 50.
I think they had 70. It was something like
76.
They had 75 like yards and then 300 punting yards or something. Like, it's not good. Minnesota blew a 21-point lead, which is still shocking. We lost to those guys, which is so terrible. Northwestern is bad. Illinois is bad. Purdue. I mean, it is just we are going to be statistically in this thing until November, just because you're never out of the Big Ten West.
The Big Ten West is a land of opportunity. I think that's what it is. Like on Saturday, right? I'm just I really just tune in to watch like bad Big Ten football now. Like it used to be awful, but I'm just like, all right, give me Beth Moen on a call. Like, let's see what we got going on. 11 a.m.
Yeah.
All
Indiana Rutgers, sign me up.
It's halftime at 11:45. Like, what are we doing? This is just a running clock at this point. But yeah, it's like, give me Minnesota Northwestern overtime game, and it is just, it makes me mad because it's Minnesota, right? We lost to them, and but like Kaliak Manis can't complete a pass. And this is they're running their running back 38 times together. They're giving the Ibrahim treatment, and they're losing to Northwestern in front of like 600 people. It's amazing.
There's nobody there. Oh, it's so good. Well, we probably should talk about Michigan, but if you can, like, everybody's sort of written off Michigan, but I think we're gonna spend a little bit of time on why we can win. We're gonna dig deep. We're gonna really find some things on why we can beat Michigan. But you look past Michigan, Illinois, not good. Northwestern, not good. Purdue, not good. Michigan State doesn't even have a coach.
Oh.
Unbelievable. Maryland, not good. Wisconsin, we aren't really sure. And Iowa literally can't score. I mean, it is just like the last 6 games are going to be, it's like, we got a chance, even though. And then you also have to do this thing where you like compartmentalize your brain, and you're like, you just have to like forget Louisiana Tech happened. You're like, oh, were we tied with Louisiana Tech like late in the 3rd quarter? No. Like, remember all those touchdown runs that Harburg had? Those were great. Like, don't, just ignore the fact that we got like physically manhandled by Louisiana Tech. And you're like, no, we can beat all these teams.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, when I was gonna hop on this, right, I thought this was a perfect podcast and the perfect group to try to like, break down the Michigan game, because there's no data that suggests we're gonna win. It is all just emotion. It is raw, pure emotion. We're gonna will this thing into victory.
I found some stats, Chuck. Don't worry.
Oh, thank you.
All right, give me Michigan.
Give me one.
Michigan.
Okay. Well, we can get into that now.
Yeah, Michigan. Let's do it.
I think as far as the Big Ten West chatter, we can just put that aside. I mean, it's basically Wisconsin, and then everyone else will just be alive, I think. But so in order to stay alive, I want to see a good showing against Michigan. I want to see us get competitive. I want to see this be just a Big Ten slobber knocker. Like, I want to see this be like they just in the trenches. I want to basically play the game like Michigan wants to play the game. They're gonna, they want to line up and run it. We want to line up and run it. That they want to just play solid defense and not turn the ball over. That's exactly what we should be wanting to do as well. I would love to see an 11-10 Nebraska win. Like, more, I think that where we are at right now at this point in the season is our offensive identity is not established, but has been chosen. We have chosen to be a power running football team. We run
without running backs, but yeah,
two dead running backs.
2 dead running backs and a backup quarterback.
But we haven't quite established like an offensive dominance. We're not a good passing team. We know that. We are last in the Big Ten in passing yards through 4 games.
Okay, is that bad?
It's not.
Not when you run like we do. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, doesn't matter.
Maybe.
We're number 1 in rushing yards in the Big Ten.
Are we actually?
9 yards.
By
We have 100
yards.
By 99 yards.
Oh, by 19. Oh, okay.
We're
900
number 1 in the
we have
Big Ten
900
rushing.
Yeah, we have 939 yards total. We are sixth in the country in rushing yards per game, and we're 21st in rushing attempts in the country. So we have made it pretty clear we want to run. We want to run the football.
I think we're last in pass attempts. Like I heard, like in a country where like we just don't even throw out the least amount of passes, which is crazy.
So I love that during the during Louisiana Tech game, they came on and said their run pass ratio, like it's 35 runs and 12 passes. And I'm sitting with Alex Post, he's like, that's too many passes. That's way too many passes. We got.
I mean, Harvick's hitting on like 51% of his passes or something, and like of the like misses he's had, they're like
for 17 last.
They're like not close. You're like
center tech.
Like in some of those deep balls he's thrown to Tommy Hill, you're like, are we even running this? Like, what are we doing? Like, are these even the same like stratosphere? You kind of can't even get it within a galaxy. Yeah.
It's like a trick play. You're just like, whoa, did you just throw it over 25 yards?
Also, like Tommy Hill, you know, our desperation to like get this kid the ball is like, they must see something to practice because Tommy Hill, give him the deep ball. Like, I think they think he's like Travis Hunter. He's definitely not.
Poor man's Travis Hunter.
He's very poor man's Travis Hunter.
I'm like, key to beat Michigan, Tommy Hill X Factor. They got to be seeing something that we're not. So if
that's it, dude. If he does
show up,
if he does it, then it's like electric factory. It's like, why, make it happen. But I think the carnage on our offense is like so wild when you start to like look at the injuries.
So that's where I think the Michigan breakdown starts. Is obviously like our offense. We have chosen this identity, but we are going up against a quite stout defense. And so what's going to end up happening is our back's going to be against the wall. We're going to face a lot of 3rd and longs. And which direction do we go? Like when it's 3rd and 5 against Michigan, are you passing or are you going to keep running the ball? Like, I think that's the type of game that we're going to be getting into with Matt Rule. Who do you guys see like winning the ground game battle here?
I like what you were saying in the beginning. Like, it kills me that we screwed up the Colorado game. That first half, up until 2 minutes left, when we started, we threw the fumble and the interception. That was perfect, right? I was like, if we played like this 0-0 tie up until like the 3rd quarter, they're just going to get so freaking frustrated they're going to give up. Because I think our run defense is extremely strong versus Michigan's. Like, I don't know, theoretically, we should be able to stop them if we have, if we live up to hype. I have limited expectations on our offense moving the ball. But I think like in a 7-7 game, late in the game, Michigan's super frustrated and they like feel the pressure of a national championship, but we're like, play loose. I don't know.
Crazier things have happened.
Things just need to get weird in the game, guys. We need a couple funny bounces. Watch us get like a safety. Like watch like I mean,
we should run that play we ran against Minnesota where we throw it onto the turf and just see what happens.
Perfect.
Yeah, absolutely. Let things get weird. Let's get a safety. Let's kick 4 field goals, score a touchdown, miss the PAT. Like, let's win this game. Like, it's
There's definitely like, I don't know. It was a little peculiar about Louisiana Tech game is we had no sacks, like maybe 1 or 2 tackles for loss after having. I think we had 8 sacks against Colorado. I think we had 11 sacks in the first 3 games. If that factor, plays a role too, where it's like
first in the Big Ten in sacks.
Yeah, I mean, we have tons and ton of pressure. I really like our defense. I really like what I like what Tony White's done.
Snapping looked really, really, really good. I'm really liking it.
I think it's an exciting defense. We put good pressure on. We seem to have, Ty Robinson's been playing well. Polar Bear's been playing well. Like, that part gets me going. You're like, all right, this team we can play with people if you can stop people. And I think the offense gets so much press because it's like they're hard to watch in a lot of ways because we just don't have playmakers. Like, we don't have elite playmakers on the offense.
Are you ready for this? Is gonna blow some minds right now. This is how we beat Michigan. All you do is you look at numbers, and then you pick which ones you like the best, and then if you just use those stats, you just automatically win if you know the right numbers to look at. So, all right, here is Michigan's rushing defense by quarter. First quarter, the rushing average they give up 1.41. Second quarter, 1.74 yards per carry. Third quarter, 1.48 yards per carry. Okay, that's really good.
None of these are helpful.
Fourth quarter, which is frankly probably when their scrubs are all in, 5.15 yards per carry they give up. Now, hang on. Now, wait.
Are we back? I think Nebraska's back.
But wait, there's more. Nebraska, is fourth in the country in yards per carry in the second half.
Yeah.
6.
Just run the clock, baby. We're going to get a lead. Just run the clock.
Did we just win?
I think we're all the way back.
6.36 yards per carry in the second half is the fourth most in the country.
It's really like one of the funnier narratives that I've seen popping up in different articles online is the reason we're exploding in the second half is we're wearing them down. We're just grinding them to a pulp. And then in the fourth quarter, they just can't hang on anymore. And then you're yeah, thanks to Pipeline Jerky. Shout out Pipeline Jerky. Then you watch the game and you're like, did we actually wind them down? Did we grind them down on the 9 straight punts? I don't think. Were they begging for mercy on the 4 3-and-outs and the 3 fumbles? I don't think that's quite. This wasn't exactly a 12-play 60-yard drive. We're oh yeah, we just grind them down to the fourth quarter. They can't hang on to Harvard.
Here's the final part in that. This is a 3-part stat actually now too. Michigan in the fourth quarter, it's also their worst rushing average on offense.
I forget it.
They're not going to say it's a big plan like that.
Just hang on. Just hang on. So,
3 yards per run.
They played Rutgers last Saturday.
Yeah.
I mean, Rutgers hung with them until halftime, and then wheels fell off. They threw a pick. They threw a pick six, and they did some other stuff. It was I think it was 7-7. It was really Colorado-esque.
Later into the second quarter, but then it was also Rutgers never scored again.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's there's I don't know. You see the vulnerability, and then you're oh, this is why Michigan's good. Is they have a pick six, and then a fumble return, and then a bunch of other stuff. And you're oh, that
figured it out.
That makes
It
sense.
was a really gimmicky game though. Rutgers had this weird fumble situation. Michigan guy picks it up. They think the play's dead. He runs it in for a touchdown. It's a touchdown. Michigan fumble. They don't even review it. It kind of overturned. There are 2 huge plays right in a row. Rutgers should have won that game. That's my take.
Yeah.
There's still
5 minutes of it.
Should have a couple bad bounces, Scott. Here's a potential problem I foresee. Of course, here is Michigan is the number 1 defense in the Big Ten.
No, I thought we were.
Yeah,
Scoring defense.
Yeah. So,
So,
well, that's enough of that.
5.8 points per game.
I do think. I mean, that's going to be I think it's
5.8.
The way that we're truly. You look at they would see the kid from Kearney, the unrated kid from Kearney. I do think truly that this is probably the best I felt about defense from 2009, and I don't say that lightly. I don't know. I feel we had Georgia Southern put up 70 last year or whatever. We're just getting blitzed throughout. The difference though of that 2009 team and where if this team can elevate to this level, I'll feel really good about beating a lot of these terrible Big Ten West teams. Is forcing turnovers and actually winning games. That's what who was doing back in the day, and Prince was doing back in the day, and Alfonso Denner was doing back in the day. It was they were not only just stopping people, and we had the worst offense of all time, but they were just oh, actually we're going to stop you and
take the ball away. Look at Levante David doing that.
Oh, yeah, Levante David saved the game. Yeah, Levante David won that Ohio State game. You know, Hag, you know, all those guys, like Sue could force a fumble like at a moment's notice, and then you're just at least kicking a field goal. That's going to be the difference. It's like forcing the turnovers that win the game, because we just don't have an offense that we can count on in crunch time. But if you give them the ball, like at the 40-yard line after a fumble, like, yeah, we can put some points in.
Right. And it is like, I think, you know, as far as like winning the West too, and where we go from here, you have to play Big Ten West football, which that's the worst part of it, the whole thing about being in the Big Ten West, and it is the land of opportunity, but you have to play their style. Like they suck you into it. And so we have to do that, but we have to be boring. We have to make people turn the game off because their eyes are bleeding watching everyone just do 3-yard runs and run it away until the fourth quarter when someone kicks a field goal and wins 3-2. But we have to play that way for now. We have to build the defense. And then once we do that, you get some wins under your belt. You can at least be like, hey, yeah, it was ugly, but they went 7-5. It's better than a flashy 3-9, the best 3-9 team of all time. But it's, you know, an ugly 7-5 allows you to at least buy some time to build a really strong defense until we get, you know, Dylan Raiola.
Yeah, he's coming.
And then we'll have an offense. So you just build it, you know, get some wins under your belt, show that there's progress, you know, play their style for now, and then be able to build a recruiting pitch to get 3 or 4 skill guys on offense that Iowa's not going to get, Wisconsin's not going to have, Illinois is not going to have, you know, and you're going to be able to have those skill guys to then build an offense next year.
All right, I got a hot one. I'm coming in over the top on this one because it's actually an interesting segue into this, but we can kind of come back to this topic. Here, I said this to you guys right before we started. Kyron Williams. How do you pronounce his name? I can't remember. Kyron. There it is. All right. He sends this tweet out. Speaking of like 3-9, 4-8, he sends a tweet out like a handful of hours ago. Today at the game, or maybe this was last Saturday. Today at the game, it felt too corporate in our locker room, from the operations to the staff. No dog, no swagger, no credibility. The vibes are definitely off. Players are making the best of the cards they got. Just my honest opinion. So I've got strong opinions on this.
Okay.
I don't know.
Number one, how do you pronounce his name?
Number one. Well, so here's number one was, I literally was like, who is this guy? Like, I was like, I had to look him up. Like, I don't even remember who he was. The defensive back. I think he was he Keith's kid?
Did he have a kid?
Probably a nephew.
In some, I always referred to it as.
Oh, you're thinking Pierre Allen Sr.
Okay, so I had a couple, because this is interesting and relevant to what we're talking about right now. Like, one of the best tweets or like responses to this was, he said, "Bro, you're 4-8 your senior year, and you went 13-12 overall." He said, "I'm not sure you had any dog and swagger at all your entire career there." That was somebody else. I didn't say that, for the record, in case he's listening to this. But I do have this like question on, you know, this is a broader like look at Rule of, you know, what he's doing for the program. You know, clearly he had a bad, you know, whatever he had on this trip, like wasn't great. So I have two components of it. What do you guys think overall on what Rule's been doing like the first 4 games? But then also the second component of it is did anyone that played in the last 7 years ever get to say anything about the program?
No, it's kind of like how when I manage people, you know, when you see a problem, just pointing it out and putting it on blast out there does nothing to help anybody. Propose a solution as well. Like, it's fine if there is a problem, point it out, but propose a solution with it as well. But if you're just going to point out solutions and say, "Oh, that's all I've got to say," and point out problems and say that's all I've got to say, and you walk away from it, it's not helpful. It detracts more than it helps anything. So that's an annoying general life statement for me. Like, anybody can point out problems.
Yeah.
Or a few people can actually get in the trenches, start Pipeline Jerky, and fix something. So,
Pipeline Jerky, by the way.
Yeah, Twitter's so interesting, right? It gives a microphone to everybody, even if they don't have a real voice. And you know, I get that too. Like, I'll send some stupid tweet out or whatever and tag somebody, then like they actually respond. I'm like, I didn't actually think I was gonna read that. But yeah, it's like, dude, you were allowed in the locker room apparently. You know, you were allowed to come back as a former player. Like, it's not like they're locking you out, right? And yeah, at the end of the day too, it's a team that's trying to find their identity. And I think, to answer the other question about like how's Rule doing, he says the right things. He's trying to honor the past. Is that the right way to make us immediately successful? Well, it appears not. But I think that, overall, he's a good coach. He says the right things, and that's important in a Nebraska media that is such a fishbowl. So, don't say anything that's going to get you into quick trouble so that you can buy yourself time. I think, look at the basketball program. Tim Miles did that really well. Bought himself a lot of time to give himself the opportunity to be successful. Ultimately, it didn't work out, but you say the right things and you do the right things to buy yourself the time to give yourself enough leash to try to figure it out. And I think Rule's definitely doing that part of it well. Now, I think that he has a bad offensive coordinator for the personnel that we have right now. Hopefully they figure that out and it buys him even more time and it'll get him the wins that he should have.
Yeah, Andrew, you go ahead too. I'll jump back in.
Well, I guess my take is coming from the NFL, I think I can see Chiron's take. As far as, it feels and seems a little bit like a corporate structure. The flip side is
that might be good. Maybe we
needed structure and a hierarchy and just accountability and all business for a little while. That doesn't mean you suck the life out of the locker room or anything. So yeah, I'd be interested to see if we hear or see anything else on this. But so far, I'm seeing players that want to play for Rule. I don't think that anyone's questioning that part of things at this point. So however it's getting done, it might not be how he is used to seeing things around there, but I haven't really questioned player effort and post-game interviews. I haven't heard anything that's whoa, that's a little bit questionable and damning, and not even really any nuggets.
Really seems to be straddling the line pretty well of being a player's coach, being there in there for the guys, but then also being the corporate CEO that seems to say the right things, be the right places, do quite frankly kiss the right asses, and then but also have his players' backs, have those guys play it for him, and not necessarily exactly how voted, whereas the team versus the world, even the team against the fans. He's hey, these people love you, they want to be here for you. It's a privilege to be here. Go play for them. Go play for each other. There's a lot of positivity that he seems to be building. At least as I see it.
Yeah,
hey,
go ahead.
I think it's funny, Dave. You used to do when you guys did the blog. There was a swag player of the week, right?
Coming out.
You got Chiron talking about there's no more swag or there's no swag. You're you literally had to stop doing that because there was zero swagger, and it didn't come back until I think last year Trey Palmer probably would have won it every single game because that dude he was the swag player of the team. But this year, there's a lot of them.
Yeah.
We give you Omar Brown. Even Hartzog is kind of bringing it.
Any of the guys on Deer, they're playing great. Yeah, I think that's sort of my overall kind of reaction to it is you're like that tweet was your entire career you went 8-12. What swagger did you didn't bring any, and a couple guys are blasting him in the comments just you can't go 3-9 your senior year and then be yeah, this team sucks. Bro, you stunk. You don't get to throw stones when you didn't, what did you contribute, right? I don't know. So that's you kind of go back and forth on there. Do any of Riley's guys get to talk grief like this? It's I don't know. He's trying to build a program, and also to your point, saying it's this isn't productive to just blast this out there and then it gets picked up because everyone's bored. Where this should just disappear into the ether because this guy's selling cars somewhere. But
yeah, any sort of negativity disappears with every single win.
Yep,
and
absolutely. Yeah. Wins pull people together.
Can you guys imagine if we beat Michigan? Are you?
I'm interested.
Oh, I've imagined.
It's gonna get wild.
It just, it's we're definitely teetering on the line of is it going to be 42-3? But also, what if we keep it close?
When Denard Robinson came to town, we said, what if we could beat Michigan? And then we did, and it was Halloween night, and that was wild. That was a great time.
All of these freaking games, and that's what Andrew is me this morning. It's we're so dry on content right now. It's so bad that any game week, I try to put out all these beat Michigan, beat Colorado, and all of the clips.
Dave sends a beat Michigan clip out, and we lost that game by so much.
The Ramir Johnson catch on the unbelievable route, right?
There's that much in that one.
Oh, well, that one was a close one. That was like the most exciting game at Memorial Stadium in the last 10 years.
That was such a bad one loss. We had that one so easy.
We were only like 88% chance of winning that one. I mean, that's not even the worst blown losses.
But that's just like, if you just, it's like, he was showing signs, at least at the end of the game. Louisiana Tech, there's some weird stuff going on, but he's at least showing slightly better signs of clock management. I don't know. It's like, there is some signs of clock management and like improvement towards the end of the game, but then there's also some like wildly concerning things that are still like popping up. But I just keep trying to like close my eyes and be like, oh, that's the play we call, like, I think like what Satterfield called like a pass play on third down that gave them the ball back with 3 minutes left. And you're like, okay. I think it's like, we are broken. Can you please stop throwing passes until the game is over? Like, we would like that clock to hit 0. Please stop this.
Who is going to be our offensive MVP this weekend?
Harburg, not in the quarterback position.
Ooh, hot take.
Yeah. I think we're to the point here where we just get the best athletes on the field. That's maybe got Sims and Harburg out there in
diamond formation,
wildcat type stuff. Yeah, they'll both line up at wide out and both run passes or both run reverses. Like, just get the ball in their hands, get them in space. Harburg's feet don't move quickly, but he takes really long strides. He's not slow. He's pretty damn fast. Just get him out in space and let him run.
I mean,
think about that. Think you got like okay, Harburg takes a snap because Sims can't. That's okay though. But as you got Sims
and then hands it to Sims.
Sims
says, "Here's the ball."
He can throw with it.
2 quarterbacks.
You got Grant.
Oh, it's
Tommy.
One quarterback takes the snap, and then one passes it.
Also, did you see that Fleeks is now a running back?
Is he really?
In the diamond formation? Yeah, that came out this evening. So, diamond formation, multiple quarterbacks. I mean, like I said,
so other than revolutionizing the entire game of college football and changing positions mid-quarter, is there
the thing that Sims killed Mike?
Be our offensive MVP.
Sims is the wildest. Sims is the wildest like character of this whole thing. That like, has there ever been a quarterback that hasn't stepped foot on Memorial Stadium that's more like universally like despised than that guy? It's like he hasn't even played. And he also has like 4-year track record of being like a starter at Georgia Tech, and he's thrown like a boatload of like touchdowns. He has so much potential, and you can see the flashes of it. But it's like, I mean, literally everybody like all week is like, if he starts, I'm booing. You're like, what is going on? This guy's been playing here. So you're like, I don't know. There's that element like deep down where I'm like, man, what if he just came out and like lit it up, and like, and Rule was like, hey, you know what? He's my guy. I like brought him here and like put my career on this guy. And all of a sudden he turned into the Jeff Sims we thought we were going to get instead of like what we actually got of like the grade school quarterback that can't catch a snap, of like St. Pius kid who's just like fumbling all over the place. And you're like, what if he turned in
snap only speed option offense?
I mean, he's like 6'5", 240. He's fast. He should be like good at football. It's just like, but his passes are treacherous and like,
runs like a deer, throws like a deer. That's
what I said last week. Get him in a Wildcat specific package for him.
Yeah,
I thought Satterfield did put him in some tough spots in that game. Just knowing what his limitations are, specifically the Minnesota game. Like you had them. You could have crammed it down their throat, and instead you chose to get a little creative, which I get. OCs want to get creative, especially in their debut and stuff like that. But it's like, dude, it cost you. It cost you the game.
Yeah, there's just a scenario where he rolls out and he does like the Adrian thing where it's like, he's out in space and he's in this like, run first, pass second like mentality of like once he rolls out, does the field open up for him and Fanoni's running wild and but in a drop back setting, he's got no shot. I mean, he just doesn't see the field. He just locks in on his receiver from the start and it's got no shot. But aside from that's back where we're going down a dark path on that. I just think like, what's that dude like? What if he just became Jeff Sims?
Really, dude, quite frankly, is we can run like a veer option here. Just run RPOs all day long. Just stick it in there. Just let it run. I mean, that's classic coaching where you have an inferior team and you put players in isolation and hope your best athlete outruns theirs. That's our best chance here.
They could both take a hit. Harburg can take a hit. Sims can take a hit. I think Grant's a great running back. I'm nervous about him getting 27 carries a game, and like the fact that the drop off after him is a true freshman.
Yeah.
He could play.
Michigan is the number 2 rushing defense in the Big Ten right now, behind us. No big deal.
Who have they played? They have not faced this attack.
Who have they even played? They haven't played Minnesota.
They haven't faced this yet.
So yeah, I mean, I would say Anthony Grant, but I think they're gonna lock him down. I'm going Billy Kemp as
Ooh, that's a howl.
Because I think that we're just gonna be forced into throwing, and like he seems to be. It's him or Fedoni seem to be like the 2 reliable passing options so far. Marcus Washington has room to grow, and he could be and should be good. But again, just got to get him the ball, and then. Yeah, it leaves Billy Kemp, and I think that they're just going to hone in so much on Harburg, and they're going to hone in so much on Grant that we're not going to have too much of a choice. I hope we don't go away from Grant and Harburg. I think they can be our bell cows and everything.
I'd love to see him give Malachi Coleman a run or something. I mean, it's like if you're going to build a program, let's get some of these guys
crutches.
Yeah, let's get Emmett Johnson some touches. Let's get Coleman some touches. Like, let's get these guys. Like, if these guys are going to be a starter for the next 3 or 4 years. Let's give him a shot. Especially a big spot.
MVP.
Well, to what Dave just said, offensive MVP. I mean, if it's Fedoni, I think we have a really good chance. Like that's and I would love to see that if it's Fedoni, or even because I think if Fedoni's getting touches, that means that we're at least moving the ball successfully, and then that means that the run is probably working well too. So if I get to say at the end of the game that Fedoni was the offensive MVP, I think that we either won the game or we kept it really, really tight. But I think if the game work, as we talk about trying to win the West, and that is the goal, if the game does get out of hand, say it's 17-0 or something like that, I hope that we don't take. I know you want to play the whole game, but at the same time you got to look at the bigger picture, and our depth is limited. I hope that it's not like, okay, just keep feeding Grant until we kill him in the game, because then well now your whole season's toast. So yeah, to that point, get Malachi Coleman some touches, get Emmett Johnson some touches. Get Fleek some touches if you're trying him out at running back. I don't care, but let's not ruin the rest of the season trying to chase a 17-point comeback if it does get out of hand early.
Yeah, I think it's a great point, because it is like, now that I'm looking at it too, and I think nobody expects us to win. What's the spread?
17.
17. Okay. Yeah, I mean, literally
17-0. That's actually a pretty good prediction.
I think because you look at the next, you go Illinois, Northwestern, Purdue is the next 3. So like you got to be healthy going into those, because if you lose to Illinois following this, it's like wheels are off, and then you're like, how do you recover? But Illinois, Northwestern, Purdue, Michigan State,
they're winnable games.
I mean,
so I've been to so many games, like road games and stuff. Like I just remember at Ohio State when we had Tommy Armstrong, get his head bounced off the sideline, right? And it's like, okay, we probably weren't going to win that game anyway, but they scored 63-3 on us or something. It was, I don't know, we never stopped them. And in the meantime, now your quarterbacks are
Tommy's dead.
The next game too. And it's like, now I got to watch Riker fight all season long. Don't do that to me.
Who's got to step up on defense for us to clinch this victory? Last 3 minutes of the game, who's
I think freaking Reimer's out, which is terrible.
Okay,
that's a killer.
That wasn't my question.
Sorry. Well, someone's got to step up in Reimer's place. That's the key, right? It's like everybody else is super strong. I love he's got a rotation of 17 guys that are like running in there pretty consistently. I think you got to have whoever can step up in Reimer's place. I mean, is it Henrik? Like who jumps into his place?
I have loved what I've been seeing from Singleton, too. Just like, I mean, the fact that he can truck stick dudes. He's a 4 or 5-star, I believe. He can just truck stick dudes, and I know Colorado tested him deep on a pass, and he just absolutely owned the receiver. And I think he's just got such potential. If he can make a big play, if it's a pick six or force a fumble or something like that, running downhill from that safety position, that is really exciting to me as well.
I think I'm going with Nash here.
Polar Bear?
Oh yeah. I think he's off to an amazing start, but there is no way our defense is going to keep up with the Michigan O-line if he's not having a terrific
day. Yeah, a banner day.
It's like full potential needs to be realized immediately, because this is the best O-line in the country, the best O-line we'll face all year. it's going to be the biggest challenge that he's going to have to rise up to all year as well.
Well,
You ripping a 5-hour energy over there, Louis?
Yeah, I'm robo tripping over here, boys.
Whoa, jeez.
No, just got some decongestion. My 9-month-old got me sick as a dog.
a little stuffing.
All right, special.
And I kicked my bedroom, so I was on the move there. Sorry.
Let's wrap this thing up, Andrew. What do we think?
Special teams. Yeah, who's our special teams MVP? Who's making a play?
I mean, can Alvano make a freaking kick? Good Lord.
1 for 3. Worst field goal kicking team in the Big Ten right now.
I mean,
I think Bleak Road runs for 2 touchdowns.
I love this
Big
kid.
ball Lake Road.
Are you kidding me? That's probably my favorite play of the season. That's just like incredible.
The post that we put up with, he was beaming. He was smiling.
So happy.
Here. Just a
He also just like, he runs and then like sort of like, he just runs and sort of like dives. He's like, he's like, I'm not getting hurt. Like he just like trips, falls. Epic. I love that play.
It was awesome.
I
want to bring one back. We gotta get into some field position battles here. I want to see Kemp take one a little bit.
God, that's what stinks. I mean, I'm sorry, I'm bragging as a negative already. Ramir Johnson was like really doing well. Returning kicks. He was killing it. All right, rest in peace. But these dudes.
Awesome.
Kemp would be good. I mean, Tommy Hill, what if he made it happen? Fumbled a couple times. But you got to get Alvano. Like, everybody was like jonesing for Alvano, like after the West Side game, and everyone was like, he's the greatest kicker ever. You're so disrespectful for not offering the kid. I'm like watching him, like classic West Side kid, chokes under pressure. Like, what's he doing? Like, this kid stinks.
Yeah, and trust him.
Yeah,
he's going to get it together. He's going to be the next Alex Henry. I'm feeling it.
Yeah, well, Alex Henry never missed.
Right now, he's doing like the Alex Henry last year in the NFL thing.
Yeah, the like, I'm 34, I can't play in the NFL thing anymore.
No, yeah, it's a tough fall from grace there, but yeah.
All right, we're finishing with swag.
Yeah, I think our swag player of the week. Just trying to bring it back in the podcast here a little bit. Great name drop, Chuck. Deshaun Singleton is taking it home this week. When he murdered that kid and danced over his carcass, that was like, those are the types of plays that are going to be winning us games like in the future. I know that we were winning and life was good at that point, but he came from off the screen. Like the way that the game was being shot, he came from off the screen out of nowhere. I mean, it was like 0.3 seconds into their backfield, the tackle for loss, and he screamed, and I think the entire stadium could hear that scream. Like that's the type of play, that's the type of swag that we need for him to just be lighting people up and letting them know it. And congrats to Deshaun.
Love it. All right, folks. Thanks for listening to HuskGuys podcast. If you're still with us, thank you to Truck and Zach for joining us. Go Big Red. Let's go beat Michigan. I think we can do it. Let's do it.
I think we're going to consider it win.
We're
Get in there.
Go
Right, boys.
Huskers. And wrap at 1:18:25 for you, Brandon. All right, we'll be off the air here for a sec. 1:18. Thanks for joining, boys.
Yeah, thanks. Sorry if you got in my bedroom.
You're good.
I got
Hope you guys had fun. Good chat.
It was a nice. You got a nice house.
There you go.
15 years in the making, Dave. We've been talking about it forever, but congrats, you guys taking products to market.
Yeah, dude. I mean, it's been it's been quite the year in a lot of ways. I think Pipeline's been a ton of fun.